We're joined by Sean from Humberside. How are you doing, Sean?
Really good, thank you, Porky.
Well, it's been an amazing 24 hours, hasn't it?
It has.
Uh,
Cards announced, news galore.
let's start with Elmer Fod against Herbert, the Vert, Matt Uvo. What do you think to that? They spelt it wrong on the poster at Matchroom and DAZN. Is it a cruiserweight, I believe, in he?
Yeah, King of Kampala, it seems. It's where he was born and where he seems to have most of his fights. He's been fighting as low as 203 pounds when they took him to Russia. Actually, 200 and a half pounds, so he could have made cruiser twice in his fight. And he's been Since he's turned over in February, he's stuck to home 9-1, eight by way of, but we know against who. And yeah, that is not a heavyweight. That is someone for Johnny to beat up. Yeah, in his last fight he was up at 217, but prior to that, he's been fighting in the low, very low 200. So he's a tall cruiserweight they've brought back. But he is the number one heavyweight in Uganda. There's 10 behind him waiting to take the throne, but he's currently king of the 11.
Well, they're selling it as a banger versus a banger, aren't they, on Matchroom's website?
I think it's Elmer against a Herbert. Yeah, they can, they can, they can, they can sell it how it is, but that man is not going to be there anything other than to get knocked over for the Johnny redemption story, redemption arc. But yeah, no, I laughed. I laughed when I saw the card. I thought it had been sort of AI'd to edit it because he said it was going to be the best card they've ever put on in Monte Carlo.
They've only
I
put
could only
four on,
ever,
haven't they?
yeah, what I'm going to say, I'd only assume that was true if it was the first card. But yeah, yeah, best card, best card in Monte Carlo. I'm genuinely laughing at some of the fights. Yeah, they're going to spin it. There's a world title fight on if you class a Ferreira fighting for a female IBF belt as one, which I don't. So yeah, no, it's laughable, genuinely laughable.
Well, it's 300
Um,
yard apparently from Eddie Hills' Monaco gaff now that he's a tax exile. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's even saving on transport for himself, isn't he? But yeah, I don't think I'd go to watch that card if it was 300 yards from my gaff. It's rubbish. I like Masood, I like McGrail, good EBU title and stuff. I'll watch Conor Walker fight against anyone, me. But there's a fella called Hugo on there. I don't know much about. He's fighting Sean McComb, who I can remember losing to Barboza, but it's a light card, isn't it? It's rubbish.
Matchmakers are telling me the Rhino is going to be a pundit on the night. Oh, do
Oh,
we see a
uh,
fight being built up between the Rhino, aka Eddie the Eagle, and Elmer Fudd? What do you think to that? And will Daddy Fudd be there in between his media engagements for Frey Bentos? Bosh.
I do hope some of these companies know where he's going to have a massive coronary, joking aside, and they're going to not want to be associated with him because he must be 28 stone or something. But yeah, Dave will be there. I presume talking up the third fight, the decider. But oh, it's rubbish. Absolute tosh of a card. Just Monte Carlo. God, a card we don't need, but against Herbert Matovu. Ah, it
Breaking the
gets
bank at
worse.
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, just rubbish. I genuinely, I rubbish. I know I'm constantly naive, but when he said it's going to be the best card we've put on, I thought, oh, they're going to invest something. They're going to have some good fighters on, and then we get trapped to this. Yeah, there's two fights on there I'll watch. That's it. Conor
Sean, can I
Walker.
ask you, right? If Elmer so much as gets dropped in Monte Carlo, right, will they do an Elmer versus Herbert the Matterboff or whatever he's called, this massive puncher, according to Spotty Frank. Will they do a rematch?
Well, like you mentioned, tis the season to be rematching. So who knows? But I suspect his KO power is as strong as Prince Patel's opposition resume. It will be nothing and nobody's. The thing that made me laugh as well, and I'm not being disrespectful to the Ugandan people. I'm sure they live much harder lives than me. But a year ago, he was fighting in a school basketball court, YMCA comprehensive basketball court, at the whopping weight of 207 pounds against a nobody. So that's how they're rebuilding Elmer Fod against a
Well, it
man who's
looks to
been
me like
chinning people
Elba's
in
being
schools.
spoon fed.
Well, he is, and he is. He's been fed on lean African meat because this guy is a 6'4", light, light, a very light heavyweight, but really is a cruiserweight that's at a bit more for a couple of fights because you don't naturally get a stone heavier in between Feb 24 and now.
Yeah. Uh, Daddy Fudge patented the Bosch copyright, say, wherever he keeps coming out with. Are these people about money are they just having a laugh? Or what's going on here? Because I don't see any inclination for him to go for a British title. But they were talking area English, Commonwealth, British last year, weren't they, after they beat Babbage?
Yeah, they were because he won the area, didn't he? Won the Southern Area title, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, depends what state the English title's in. I don't even know who's got it, if it's vacant or fought for much at the moment. But I'm sure they could make it happen against an opponent that is English and not very good. But yeah, it depends how they want to rebuild him. He's young enough for him to keep trotting him out, but his limitations have already been revealed by the Lazy Rhino, so who knows? But he's got a big fight ahead of him now, fighting the King of Kampala, 9-1 knockout artist. So he's got his work cut out to fight this guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep laughing.
Jonathan's just emailed me. He says that I'm a bully for calling the Lazy Rhino Eddie the Eagle. But is that wrong of me to compare them both?
Now, bully. Firstly, it's YouTube and online, and stop being a crybaby. And secondly, he is. He's a gimmick, but at least Eddie got to the Olympics.
So technically, the Rhino's a bit worse than Eddie the Eagle. Is that what we're saying?
Y- Yeah, we are saying that at elite level, Eddie flew higher, literally and figuratively.
We spoke about Paul Smith. We spoke about Paul Smith, aka Jim Royal, retracting his gimmick comments. Has he been got at?
Yep, Paul will talk for pay now he no longer punches for pay. And if his talking to pay is affected by some of the things he says that upset the people that pay him, Paul will change his narrative because he's another talking head. End of.
Okay, Bean going into full Super Bean mode the other night. I'm going to play it, aka the new Kenneth Williams. Are you ready? Strongman Mountains from Bean. Harsh words, but he forgot at the end of the fight to say, "There's the respect."
Just cringeworthy. Just cringeworthy. Being in full flow a la Kenneth Williams, yeah. And that might even be a bit harsh on Kenneth Williams, in terms of masculinity. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah, just made me chuckle.
It's made you what?
Chuckle.
Well,
Chuckle.
I do try my best,
Just a
Sean.
joke. It's
Yeah.
just a joke this week, isn't it, in terms of
Oh,
boxing?
well, we're scraping barrel, aren't we? Joe Joyce is in his 41st year. He's coming back. He's looking for an opponent. Will they put him in with Eddie the Eagle?
Oh, I'm not sure. Like I say, I worry for Joe. I like Joe. I like his setup. I like his story and stuff, and he seems a decent guy. And I know he was slow at the beginning, and his punch resistance is going, but I worry that they will feed him into someone who could damage him now because I know he's not had a lot of rounds, but he's had a lot of punches thrown at that head. But I think if they put him in with Eddie the Eagle, I think he could win.
What about the loser of Fabio Wardley and Joe Parker in with Joe Joyce? I know Joe's already done Parker, and Parker doesn't seem to like
I
wanting
think
back in with Joe, does he? So, do you think in this era of rematch, we could end up with slow Joe in with even slower Parker? What do you think?
I think that could be a really interesting fight. Yeah, because obviously Joe's going to lose. I'm very confident of that. But then that's got some resale value for Parker because Parker's done that video saying promoters don't give a shit about anyone, which is probably true, which is true. But
Yeah.
it'd be a fight that's got some, if he's coming off a loss, he's got some resale value in terms of the fact that it is a rematch, but rematching against perhaps a very different Joe Joyce. But I think Joe Joyce would beat Parker again because I don't think the rebuilding of Joseph Parker was as much a rebuilding in with
That's what they're making out.
four and in particular, yeah, four in particular three as we covered yesterday, fighters that were short, old, fat in that order.
Yeah, I agree with you. Bricktop's come out this morning, well, yesterday, and he's saying Eddie the Eagle against Macbedoff was technically a donkey derby, and the winner should be nowhere near Big Meech, aka Anthony Joshua. What's your take on Bricktop's donkey derby quote? Because it's all over there, and the stomping ground are stirring it up, which I think's all a setup. Because why would they want to stir it all up between two promotional companies that are now bumming each other? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there probably is, like I say, there are in cahoots for that, for teasing that out and getting someone to say it's not worthy, someone, and then someone to come back and say it is. But yeah, no, I did listen to his interview and about that he'd missed Ricky's funeral because his daughter was seriously ill, which obviously is a good reason for him not to be there. But yeah, Frank Frank says a lot of things, doesn't he? But yeah, I do think it's more dangerous than we envisage if they do put Mac in with AJ. I know Terry Chappendama, who knows far more about the sport than me, was saying that it'll just be a one-round demo. But I think we overestimate how much of AJ's left, really. I think his whiskers have left the building.
Yeah. Josh Warrington getting a bit of stick online. He was given tickets for Nick Manners, Mark Earley, and Jimmy Harrington to go to Ricky Hatton's funeral, and he didn't pass them on. Steve Wood gave him the tickets. He didn't pass them on to Nick's team, who used to train Josh. Apparently, he binned them, but turned up with his wife. He's getting some stick online today.
And
What do you think to that?
I think that's just something that, do you know what I mean? It's almost like sniffing your nose up at your friends in terms of that and the people. If you've been trusted as that custodian, and then you just turn your nose away from them. I just poor form from Warrington, if that's true, which I have every reason to believe it is, knowing the sources it's come from, very credible, respected people within the sport. Disgusting, disgusting, and another example of people using the tragic passing of a man to, if
Even the
not
score.
yeah, as well as make themselves look like the hero.
Yeah. Turning up with his missus, but he didn't want them there because they weren't working with him no more.
It's just not about that. Should be about everything but that, should it? Should be
Yeah.
about paying your respects to a gentleman who's passed and
Yeah.
nothing else.
My sponsors, Scott Brunt from Spartan Demolition, does a lot of charity work. Obviously, he was a bit of a tearaway as a kid. He always bets massive on boxing, and I mean massive. He's been placing some bets, big bets on Wardley to do Parker. Wardley's done 72 rounds. Parker 252 rounds. He's got Wardley by KO. Do you think that's a good bet for Scott?
Yeah, like I say, I don't know betting. I bet with my heart, not my head. But I think that's if he is lumping on a lot, I think that's I bet because I suspect the odds are better than for me what the real likelihood of the outcome is. I only see one outcome. I no way see Parker stopping him, and there's no way I don't see Wardley landing and stopping him. as well. He's a massive puncher. And Parker's been stopped by lesser punchers and dropped by lesser punchers
Yeah.
than Wardley. And you've got to remember, this is Wardley's approaching his peak.
Yeah. Do you think Parker's past his peak, and can he keep Wardley off him for 36 minutes and stink the arena out and hope for a points win?
I do believe he's past his peak because he was a pro a long time, and like I say, he won a version of the world title, albeit obviously not the best win of a world title and quite contentious. But he's been a pro, and he has had a lot of hard fights. He's been in there. He's done a lot of 12 rounds. Like I said, he's done over 250 rounds, and that takes its toll on your body, isn't it? But yeah, I think he's an old. What is he? 33, 34. But
Oh,
I think he's an
pushing
old.
34, Parker, and the other
Yeah.
kid just turned 31.
And it doesn't always make too much difference to the heavyweight if you turn over late. But he's been a pro a long old time and had an AM career before that. So yeah, I suspect there's too much of a gulf, despite it probably being 4 years in age in terms of freshness, because there's almost 10 years difference in terms of that, in terms of time in the sport. And I think Ward is going to absolutely damage him in a decision closer to the second freeze fight than the first.
Yeah, I think he'll jump on him, Wardley, shock him.
Me too. Me too.
Spotty Frank was asked Anthony Joshua's fight. Will it be pay per view, his next fight, or a pay per view opponent? They said yes. So that means if it's Joshua, because Anthony Joshua's always pay per view. If it's Makhmedov, is that a 25 quid pay per view on DAZN? Yes or no?
No chance. I honestly didn't think this
What
fight
about a
was going
stat
to.
card?
Yeah, but they say stat card and then give us Herbert Matovu's and Ferreira world title fight. Stat card means nothing where Matchroom are concerned. It doesn't matter who you stick under that card. That's not a payable card. They should have a lack of temerity to try and ask the public to give them 25 quid, 20 quid to watch that, because it's not going to be against a top tier opponent. It's going to be against a weaker person in the top 15 or someone knackered.
Okay, Stuart from Carlisle asking me, why do they keep going on about Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury in 2026? We get this every autumn. You know, like we've had it every year, this time of year, every year. They always say next year, next year, next year. Do we remember the IFL interview with Barry Hearn when he's fishing with Juggies Oliver? Mr. Epstein himself said it will happen in 2021. You've just got to wait another 2 years. We're 2026 now in another 12 week, 11, 12 week. Is it going to happen, and will it happen?
I presume it will happen, but not anytime soon, because like you said, they're just gonna cook it, and cook it. And I've become beyond cynical where those fight timescales are concerned. Like I say, when it was assured from Epstein's pal that it was going to be 2021, 2026 nearly, still not happened. So when will it happen? I suspect it will happen when they've got no one else to fight, or the commercial value was fully waned, and they'll still flog it as a what, 30 quid pay-per-view.
Do you think it's the equal to Eddie promising us a 2-year-old BMW 5 Series and giving us a 12-year-old one?
No, I think it's the equivalent of them promising us a 2-year-old BMW 5 Series and giving us a B-Reg Lada Samara.
Or is it Lada Samara? Is that what they're called? Lada Samara, the Russian car?
That was the Russian one. That was the height of the Russians' manufacturing capabilities in the 80s. I remember because I had a relative with one, and as unposh as I was, I refused to get in with it. Getting it, I'd rather walk.
Okay. Promoters I speak to and matchmakers are all saying to me, look, TalkSport is now the boxing establishment. All the traffic goes through there, which is fair enough. They're the big dogs now. They've only got a quarter of the following of IFL and PC Gully's channel, Boxing King Media. But people are asking in the comments section and in emails to me, Russell, do you think that TalkSport have missed a trick here, not mentioning Steve Gray's 2 points he took off Makhmedov, no penalising of the Rhino for low blows, and the fight being changed at the rules meeting from a 10 rounder, where the Russian trained for 10 rounds, to a 12 rounder? Have they missed a trick there, Talksport?
Of course you have, because if you follow any sport, if this was football and stuff, when we question even minute things about VAR and stuff, if you're being told, right, I'm coming to fight you for 10 rounds, and then at the rules meeting, when you're there being told, actually, there's an extra 6 minutes, it sounds like he trained well enough anyway. Only if it heads up that the robbery was in, but then also that point deductions. And the British Boxing Board of Control are so, use my words, are set up in such a perspective that they don't even feel like referees or the representatives have to answer for terrible refereeing decisions as well, like the points thing. And how could they? What possible legitimate excuse can they have to change the length of the fight at no notice to the away fighter without that being anything other than designed to make the away fighter lose? To put another barrier in place when he's already travelled all that way over and stuff and had to, but just disgusting. And they know, like Simon Jordan, this is what annoys me so much. Simon Jordan, his whole persona is about he asks the difficult questions. No, he doesn't. He asks the questions within the parameters of what he's allowed to ask by the three main people that run boxing in terms of promotional.
You mean Turkey, Bricktop, and Hills?
Absolutely.
Do you remember Dale Nichols, who used to come on the channel from Lichfield? He's just down here. Do you remember him?
I
Dale,
actually do, yeah. My memory's crap, but I do.
the voice of hardcore pay per view. Well, everything Dale said to me has come true. He said to me, Chisora will fight till he's 45, like George Foreman. So will Joyce. So will Rhino. And so will Dylan White and Joshua. They're all still chugging along, but Chisora, Joyce, sadly Dave Allen, aka Elmer, Eddie the Eagle, Dylan White the Camman, and Joshua. I look at those five now, and I think they're all shot to shit, aren't they? We're being sold duds, aren't we? But they're still chugging along, and they don't want to go anywhere, do they?
They are, and I don't know why Joe Joyce, because I like Joe. I don't. He's the one I worry about because, like I say, he can do other things. Do you know what I mean? He's got a brain in his head and he's got a fine art degree, and I can't imagine he's wasted his money. Do you know what I mean? I can't imagine he's a if you ever part of the Bentley Brigade. He's got a really wise mum and stuff. But why does he want to fight on? Because he must know it's doing him a lot of damage. That's the thing that blags my head where Joe's concerned. Because despite being slow when he talks and stuff, he's a really measured, articulate person who's been raised right and stuff. Um, that's the one that really blags my head. I get the fact that Dave Allen couldn't get a paper round, let alone a proper job after boxing. But the others, I mean, but him, surely he should have had a plan to get out. He's 40 now, isn't he? And he's had really hard losses. So that's the one on a human level. I just think, I don't want to see you fight.
Will Paul Smith's brother Callum, will he fight Boatsi in a rematch? Simon's asking
Is
me, asking me. I think we covered it yesterday. Yes or no?
I think we did a briefing. I would love it. I would love to because I thought the first fight was brilliant, but I don't think he does. But yet, if he thinks he's better than Boatsi, then why price yourself out against a fight against Benavidez?
Yeah. Okay. We called it yesterday before anybody. Boxing scene have just put something out. So have the BBC in the last hour. It's Big Freeze against Jamie TKV is off. TKV's injured. So I'm pleased that our man in the dam or mole in the hole tipped us off about that. Where does Big Freeze go now? And will he need to leave Adrian Mole to move forward? Because Adrian's not having much luck, is he?
He isn't, no, and it can't inspire much confidence in the BBC powers that be that the first card he pulls together gets pulled at the same time that his main star, really, Ben Whittaker. I won't say he's a star in terms of boxing achievements, but has left. So no, it is ominous for Big Freeze. But if Turkey's backing him, there's always a will and a way. So I hope if that is the fight off or the card off, do we know that yet?
Well, we don't know. They're trying to match Big Freeze. Matchmakers are telling me they're
Yeah.
trying to get him somebody in quick, but they're going to want decent money, aren't they? To turn up for a good hiding.
Yeah, and I hope Ben puts his hand in his pocket or is able to, because I want the thing Big Freeze doesn't need is inactivity because he's been a pro quite a few years now and he's not had a lot of fights. And I get reconstructive surgery, yada yada yada, but I'd love him to get the fight. And if he gets that British title, Even if he doesn't do some defence, he can kick on from there because he's got more talent than British title level, and he is at least Euro level. And he
Yeah,
and like I say, I can only speak for me, but I like him.
yeah. Yeah, we like Big Freeze, don't we? He's a big cuddly teddy bear, and he comes across as a nice kid, doesn't he?
He is, and he's one of them guys you both think, I bet he's a good dad, and I bet he's good with his family. But that's maybe
Yeah.
me just reading too much into it. But I bet he is.
Yeah. Do you think that Turkey's had his eye open to what goes on between backing Adrian Mole? You'd have thought that the rest of the dogs would leave him alone, but they're not going to do, are they?
No, and it's like I say. But surely they've done it in the past when he got Frank and Eddie and told pretend they like each other, they listen. But I don't know if he has issued a directive or he's just watching it all from the sides, thinking I won't need any three of yous in a few years once I've got my own thing kicking off. So you never know. They've got enough money and they're playing the long game enough. So maybe they will watch them feast upon themselves and then just take the whole pie and not need any of the promoters. Who knows? And that would be quite funny to watch, not in an ethical sense in terms of the Saudis controlling boxing, but in seeing the rug pulled from under, particularly bricktop and fast car shoes.
Yeah, we'll finish off on this one then. Moses Itoma. Matchmakers are still struggling to put him in with anybody. Are they hiding something with him? Because 2 months ago, we were going to take Usyk on and fill him in and be
Mm.
the new star. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing a lot of backtracking with fights being offered to them. What's going on there?
Yeah,
Are they shit in the pants?
don't know. I don't know if it is like you say, as Frank alluded to yesterday in that one of the liquor interviews. I don't know if it's just that they all price themselves out or not, but that seems to be an easy get out of jail. But I honestly don't know what's going on there. But you'd hope he's fighting soon. But who knows? If the King of Kampala comes through, Johnny Fisher, maybe we've got a new prospect on the horizon to fight him. But I'm being cynical there, and he won't. But he's going to fight someone who he can knock over. As to who it'll be, I don't know. Perhaps Mac.
Yeah. Has John Coffey lost his hunger now that he's worth 78.4 million he's earned? Somebody's read today. I've also read he's earned 77.2 million or something in dollars. Obviously, there's deductions off that, but he's obviously got generational wealth, John Coffey. Has he lost his hunger? We don't hear much from his old man, Stan the man. Has he done a runner with all the dough? We don't know, do we? What's going on there with John Coffey? It's all quiet on the Western Front.
God, I'd not anticipated he'd made that much money. I know he knocked someone up and was going to be a dad, so I don't know if that's taking his time up. It'll be nice to see in a few years when the kid's older and he can teach Daniel to read. But yeah, no, I don't know if he's lost his hunger. He never struck me as someone who wanted to box. He's just got Stan leering over him, making him. But yeah, I suspect he'll be forced to fight again because Stan wants all his children to be world champions. Whether he wants to or not, I don't know. I can only pray that Daniel works out where the key for the door is and manages to escape the cult that his dad's created.
Okay, Lender Lara and Janibek Alim Kanuli have reportedly agreed to meet in a middleweight unification clash at the end of the year at Christmas. Terence Crawford's going to fight the winner at £160. So, what do you think?
Interesting if Crawford's going up and down now. If he's picked up at 168 and he'll drop down to 160, I never know how safe that is when they start yo-yoing. I know not every case is a Roy Jones Jr., but you've got to be very special to do that. And at 39, when they do fight,
Hmm.
that's hard to do once you've gone up one. So who knows? But I'll watch Crawford fight all day long because he's a great.
Well, if he wins another, if he cleans up at 160 like he has done at other divisions, for me, he'll be up there with Ray Leonard.
Absolutely. And I think it'll be another one that we'll fully appreciate him when he's gone, won't we? From
Oh,
boxing.
we appreciate him now, don't we, really? I mean, when you look at him taking on Canelo a couple of weeks back, and then we look at what we're serving up in UK, we've got one world champion from England, Nick Ball. But boxing's
Yeah,
booming, according to Kenneth Williams. Pop, pop, bang. There's the power. There's the respect.
absolutely. No, it is. When we used to talk about American boxing being on its arse compared to UK boxing, I think we're moving in a direction where we're clutching at straws domestically now as well, which is why we're talking about fights so derisively as we are, because we're not cynics about the sport. We're just sick of the bullshit.
Okay. Well, listen, Sean, thanks for coming on. I hope you're well. Uh, have a great day, what's left of it, and I hope you're recovering well after your treatment, mate.
Thank you so much. Take care, Porky.
All right, love to the family. Cheers, Sean. Right. That was Sean from Umberside. Big, strong fella, trains bodybuilders. That's about it, really. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. That is it. I won't be working tomorrow, Thursday. That's it. I'm going to get my arms sorted and my hands. That's about it. So I'll be back Friday morning, 11 a.m. with Terry Chop and Dharma. Those videos will be out tomorrow, Friday at 1 p.m. So I don't know when these are going to go out. These three I've done today. That's about it, really. Okie dokie. Can I just thank people for sharing the videos as well on your socials, your WhatsApp and your Twitter and all that other stuff. All right. I think I need to crack on with Porky's International YouTube now and do some non-boxing stuff later on this week. Sponsors link is pinned up in the comment section. Go and treat yourself. It's fantastic. It's really healed my tendons up with injuries I've had lately. Okie doke. One piece out. Max, I don't even want to talk about you, Max, until you get down to 10 stone. Pop, pop, bang.